Title. Well, baby, now we'll travel. Number 3. What is this, a regular thing? Tim's doing a regular thing now? What's that all about? Is he delivering? Is he changing his ways? Is he going to be a guy that puts out content regularly? I don't know, maybe. I might be on my way in that direction. Hey, so, hope everyone's doing well. It's great to see you again. It's great to have you back, driving with me. Driving. It's the best time of the year, man. It is sweatshirt weather. And I love, maybe it's because I was born in October, but October is just one of my favorite months in the northeastern seaboard area of the United States of America, which has 50 states currently, but who knows how much longer that will last. I don't know. There's a lot of things on the horizon. People are weirded out by things that are happening. I'm just like, sorry, I'll wait until I get out into traffic before we start the today's topic, which I think is going to be a little bit more current events oriented than some of the stuff prior. Oh, I wasn't sure if she was changing lanes or what. Alright, so here we are, Tim Driving Uncensored, episode trace, or numero trace, as they say while they're crossing the border. As I say this, thousands of people marching through Mexico, and everybody thinks that for some reason, when you don't want people to come into your country illegally, that makes you some sort of a racist, which is strange because there's no such thing as a Latin American race. It's actually a big mix of races. Like most of them in the southern in South America are they're a whole amalgamation of a whole bunch of races. There's been all kinds of people that have gone there and moved there, and taken over, colonized, whatever you want to talk, whatever you want to say, but their DNA is just like a big melting pot. So I don't think it's racist to want to protect your borders from people who are coming there illegally. I don't think that's racist. I also don't think that's unreasonable. I know that's an extreme view to take, but protecting your borders and giving people a way in legally to come in and assimilate and be part of your country and participate in your society, that's fine. I do think that our immigration is in dire need of overhaul, because it is hard for some people to immigrate here legally. But when you make it so expensive and difficult, it's cheaper to pay someone for a sham marriage, which happens a lot, or to just, suck it up, live with somebody, pretend you're in love with them, and then divorce them after a while. I've also seen I've seen a guy from England who's a real nice dude running a soccer camp and all that, him get chucked out of the nation, which I was like, this guy's a genuinely decent dude, and he wants to be here, he's contributing, and Lord knows we need better soccer players. Sheesh! We didn't even get into the World Cup. Embarrassment. But that's also because every single guy that's good at soccer plays here professionally, and then they all go back to their home country when we're not playing. I mean, that's not necessarily true of all the stars, a lot of the premier players and whatever. That's a whole different discussion. But yeah, immigration. I don't know. The question that nobody seems to be asking is why. Why are huge groups of people just headed in other directions? What's happening? Why now? Why thousands at a time? Why? It's an important question, and nobody seems to be really asking it, not in the mainstream media anyway. I really would encourage anybody, no matter which side of the political spectrum you are on, to seek out independently funded and run media outlets. Really. I mean, I'm going to be harping on this a lot in my videos and stuff. Because I don't know if, like, for the people that are my age, a little bit older, growing up, the cool thing was to be like into indie music. When people were into stuff on the radio or whatever, or like big record labels, you were like, ew, lame. You know what I mean? You're like, yeah, well, here's this band no one's heard of. I follow them. You know what I mean? That was the cool thing. To talk about music no one else really listened to, or to read a comic book no one had heard of yet, or to go see a movie, or to like just share a movie with someone. Or like, have you seen this movie from the 70s that nobody saw? Super cool. You know, that cultish following of media and art needs to be extended over. That kind of thinking, I think, needs to be extended over into news as well. It's like, develop a relationship with somebody who wants to go out and collect news for you. And like, let's say something is happening somewhere in the world, like let's take the migration thing. We're getting all this footage, but where is it coming from? Who was already aware that this whole thing was happening? Because we were already getting footage. All the mainstream media outlets were already showing all this footage. So somebody with a camera was already there ahead of everybody else. And given the amount of trucks that are transporting people, it looks a little fishy. You know? People carrying a flag from their own country, marching towards a border that doesn't look like people who are like, you know, if you love your country so much that you're waving the flag, why don't you live there? And there's also video of people like getting handed money. I mean, I know what's going on, but I'm encouraging other people. I'm not going to come out and say a lot of what is going on because I'll just get shut down. But I encourage people to go out and look into this themselves. And there's plenty of like younger kids, like, or 20s, early 30s, people that are trying to do real journalism, that are trying to go out there and just show you what's happening without sitting behind a desk and then telling you how to feel about what's happening. Because that's what that's what mainstream media is. Here's some footage, here's 10 seconds of footage. Now let me tell you how to interpret it. And that's what people do. They tune in to CNN, MSNBC, CBS, you know, ABC, Fox News. Every single one of those outlets has one common agenda. Well, there's one thread that goes through all of them that many of us are starting to wake up to. Some people are not. Some people misinterpret it. They don't know how to interpret it. It takes a while to unkink your thinking and your thought process on all the stuff that the media has been doing for a century, really. Publishing companies as well. Yeah, there was a guy that used to say more voices, not less, and I agree with that completely. So try and get broader perspectives on what's going on in the news, and try to find some people that are like crowd-funded, that are, you know, sourced by just you. Like, give somebody $5 a month to tell you what's going on, based on what they have found. You know what I mean? Researchers, independent researchers. You know, I think that's something that people need to start thinking about, because the biggest strangleholds that we have on our society is a monopolistic voice that is telling everybody how to feel and how to interpret things. That's why Trump keeps having all these rallies, because he can speak directly to people. They can be there. I don't know if you've ever watched like Right Side Broadcasting is a good place to just get unfiltered streams of those Trump rallies. If you want to see what they're really like, I started watching Right Side Broadcasting before before the election or around the election time. And it was just people with phones out there interviewing the people in line, asking them why they were there, asking them what was up. And it's the type of thing that you put on while you're sitting at work or something, and you just kind of let it run, tune in and out of it, and just kind of listen to it while you're working on something else. But that's really the only way to get like a good idea of what all this stuff is going on. Like, for example, the Brett Kavanaugh hearings. Like, did anyone listen to the whole hearing all the way through? Probably not. I happen to watch a guy that live streams every night. He's French-Canadian. Some people might know him. JF. He goes by, but he has a thing called the Public Space, and it's just him sitting there speaking with his lovely French-Canadian accent. Just analyzing the news and just breaking it down. Just like, all right, let's listen to the entire hearing and go through it and listen to what this person said and have a chat about it while the chat is open, so you get like a whole bunch of perspectives at once, instead of like some empty suit just sitting there reading off of cards and that's it. I think that there's a whole group of people out there that are like, I'm not paying attention to it anymore, but you are. What you don't realize is every time you pick up your phone, every time you search for something, there's headlines that shoot up, and the people that say they're not tuning in anymore are tuning in, but they're just reading little headlines now and again. So you're getting an even more distorted view of what's going on. And I think some people are starting to realize that what they're seeing in the news is not matching up with the reality of what they're experiencing. And they're seeing a lot of conflicting viewpoints from their friends and the mainstream media. So if you are listening to the mainstream media, you are not punk, you are a poser. You are sitting there gobbling up the McDonald's of information. I've said this many times before. I know I've said it here. But McDonald's is great once in a while. Everybody likes a little McDonald's, you know? But if you eat McDonald's, a steady diet of McDonald's, you're in trouble, you know? So you have to think about your media that way. If you eat a steady diet of CNN, like you're in a different reality right now. You're in a different reality than the rest of us. And you can probably see the conflict of, like, there's things that I'll share, things that I'll post on my Instagram or my things that totally seem like they're fake at first. I've sent some stuff to people, and I was like, look at this headline. And they're like, is this real? And I'm like, yes, it's real. It's absolutely real. And I think it's starting to get to a point where the things that are being printed are so outlandish that people are going, what the heck what is happening? And they're like, well, that's strange. But they keep consuming it. They keep coming back. And it keeps popping up on their phone every time they open their phone or every time they go to Google something. Google is Skynet, and it is evil. Evil. Please use DuckDuckGo. It's way better. It's way better. I know it's hard for people to switch. You know, some people they're brand loyalists, and they're not, it doesn't matter that they're giant and censoring things or telling me what to think because I already agree with them. They're like, how do you know? How do you know if you agree with them if you've never gotten outside of that bubble? There's actually a TED Talk from a guy from 2011, you should check that one out, about these information spheres, you know, our internet bubbles that people aren't even aware of, where this is way back when he started to see the algorithms start to learn what it was he liked, so it only showed him things he liked. Then as a result, you start to become isolated, and people are becoming really isolated. Like just yesterday or something, I posted a thing about Ruth Bader Ginsburg forgetting the 14th Amendment and having to take out a book to read it, and she was stalling, and somebody in the audience had to give it to her. And I was like, really? This woman's presiding over huge cases, and she doesn't know the 14th Amendment. And and people were like, "Oh yeah, you try." Someone literally said it. It was a girl, based on my impression. She's a nice person, but you know, of course, everyone gets outraged when you skewer one of the sacred cows, because women have been told that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is super cool because they've been pounded over the head with that message constantly until they believe it. And I was like, have you ever read anything that she said? You ever listened to her talk for more than an hour? Like, getting to know somebody on a date, people will sit there for an hour, 2 hours, pretty quick. Some people will make a decision, they're like, I am not staying for another cup of coffee, I am out of here. But people will give so much time to getting to know somebody. But then when it comes to like matters of the state or news, people are like, I saw a 3-second clip. That guy's crazy. Like, dude, like, sit down. Listen to an hour-long conversation with people. They used to do this on television, but now they've just been shortening our attention spans to the point where kids will sit there and watch somebody play Roblox, or, they'll sit and watch a Minecraft video for 2 hours, unedited, of one person. Ums and ahs and and like, wow, like this. This is me just talking, unedited, for a while. You'll get a better sense of what it's like to hang out with me, and some of you probably are like, yeesh, I am not interested in driving with Jim. But I'm a good driver, actually. I'm a very good driver. You should ask some of my ex-girlfriends. Some of them were like, the way you drive turns me on. True story. I was like, really? I was like, I drive like an old lady. And they're like, yeah, but I'm the one in the passenger seat, and I feel very safe with you behind the wheel. I was like, yeah, thanks. Felt pretty cool. But yeah, so try and get outside of the infosphere that you don't know is being created around you. That, dude, your browsers and stuff keep track of so much of what you do. It's insane. It's insane. Switch to Firefox Quantum and then turn on all the blockers and stuff, or switch to Brave as a browser. Like, you got to de-Googlefy your life. And by the way, we're talking about Google works with the Chinese government to make a censored version of their search engine. Like, if you search Tiananmen Square in China, nothing comes up. Like, does that sound like a company that you want to continue to support? I mean, maybe you do. Maybe you want everything that's bad censored. Everything that's bad. You know what? I don't want to learn about anything that's bad. I want to have everything censored. It's a ridiculous way to live your life. But I'm the other extreme, where all I do is I'm like, what do they not want us to see? That's all I want to look at, If someone's like, hey, this was banned, I'm like, that's the only thing I want to read or watch. Give it to me. Give it to me. I mean, that's why the Puritans came here. They were banned. They were not allowed to read the Bible in private. And they were like, what? So they bounced. A lot of censorship. There's a particular group that is in charge of the media. You start to tune in, all of a sudden you start to see it everywhere, and you're like, holy mackerel. But, I mean, that sounds like bad news, but the good news is that there's more and more people that seem to be waking up to it. At the very least, it might be too little too late, because we're headed for a pretty serious collapse here. But I'm not trying to bum you out or anything. But it's the reality of where we're at. How much time have I been talking? 20 minutes. Oh, should I go on for longer? What else should I talk about? Let's talk about something positive. Something positive. Ish. Oh! I just bought this. These, I should say. I'm going to DC in a couple days to make some videos out of March. getting back on the horse, and I bought these. These are another haul video. These are nylons. Ooh, what's Tim doing with nylons? You guys are gonna like that video, or you won't. Either way, it takes a real man to admit to buying nylons. Yeah, I got a couple of videos in. I think Vic Pearson may be back, for those of you who enjoyed Russian collusion. There's still some other Russian collusion video footage that I need to get edited and put it out there. Guys, I don't think I'm giving up on doing this ever. I'm just gonna keep making content for you guys. And if you can, if you can support me with a few dollars or whatever, that would be awesome. But again, like, just getting the word out, sharing it with people, sharing it in certain circles that might have the ability to make it find the right audience and be a little bit more popular. But I am building a team, and I am building a platform, and you guys will all be privy to that soon enough. And it's gonna stink at first. It's gonna be like garbage at first, but we're gonna work through it, and we're gonna make it something I think really special. And you guys are all gonna be into it. Well, not all of you. Some of you are gonna be like, Tim's gone insane. What happened to Tim? He used to be super positive and so great. And then I haven't seen him in a long time, and I see a few seconds of his life every day on Instagram, and I've decided to judge him based on those seconds. Don't judge people based on their Instagram. If you want to, like, if you are texting with, like, if you want to cross somebody out of your life, fine, do that, whatever. People are doing it to me all the time. But they do it based on, like, what percentage of my day ends up in front of your eyes. You know what I mean? Or in your ears at this point. Like, if you're really concerned about somebody, let's say you're really concerned. Let's say you're like, I am worried about Tim. I'm worried about him. His content's weird. He's gone off the deep end. He looks good, but other than that, like, if you're really worried about someone, pick up the phone, call them. It puts your mind at ease, I don't look at other people's social media and then think I have any kind of inclination, even a remote inclination, that I know what their life is like or how they're feeling. Zero. You know what I mean? Every now and again, there might be somebody that will post a cry for help or something like that, and then you call them. Call them and see how they're doing. But there's a lot of people that they literally, they don't want to hear any of the bad that's going on in the world. They're like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to talk about that right now. Can we not talk about this? I hear this all the time. Can we not talk about this right now? But does that person ever tell you when you can? Do they ever go, can we not talk about this right now? We can talk about it Friday at 7, okay? We can talk about it once a week at this time. Because that way we can talk about it. People don't say that. What they're really saying is I don't want to hear anything that's going to interrupt my perception of the world and what I have decided it is or isn't going to be. So, like, when it comes to, like, the fact that there might be, like, a collapse coming our way, or the fact that, this invasion essentially on the southern border, which is coincidentally happening right before midterms. And then they did the old false flag. We all got mailed bombs. Sure you did. Yeah, okay. Man, it's always right before midterms. Isn't this amazing? Nobody does anything until right before there's an election, and you need to pump the news full of something that will sway people one way or the other. Doesn't matter which side you're on. I mean, like, you gotta be at this point, be awake to the fact that, like, big surprise, giant corporations aren't telling the truth. What a shocker. It's amazing to me that people can be, like, against big companies, and then they will literally put nothing into their brain except for what big companies tell them to think. That is where it's weird. There's a difference between people being like, I don't like Walmart. Okay. You don't want to buy like really cheap pants? Okay. You don't want to buy Dickies all the time? That would be a great sponsorship, Dickies sponsorship. You don't want to buy Dickies? Fine, whatever. You know what I mean? But then people are like, if it doesn't have the New York Times insignia on it, I don't listen to it. And it's like, are you out of your mind? Have you ever seen these companies' offices? If you've never looked at the offices of a newspaper or anything, it is a slave galley ship. It's insane. I've filmed a few things at different offices, and I was like, holy crap, this looks miserable. And people, they have deadlines like every few hours, because now people don't check. They don't check anything. They're like, whatever, just print a retraction if it's not true, or if it turns out to be false or something, or misleading. Just print a retraction, and those, of course, go on page 12. But the big eye-catching story goes on page 1. Just, just be active. Ladies and gents, just be active. Be an active, engaged entertainment watcher. That's the best I can do. And search things out for yourself. Don't just sit there and suck it down. Because, or find somebody that you're like, this person cares about the truth, and I'm going to give them a few dollars a month to continue to try and convey to me the truth. Because there are certain websites that I go to now regularly. I don't get my news from anywhere that probably many of you have even heard of. I'll do a thing on where I get my news and what I listen to. The other thing is American media will be like, did you see this video of a baby elephant being shot by hunters? Everyone's outraged. And I'm like, hey, did you guys see that video footage of a particular country shooting other children from another country on their border? Did you see that? Because that's going on a lot, but nobody hears about it. That's the thing that I think people are starting to realize. Just because you don't hear about it on the news doesn't mean it's not happening. In fact, if they're not saying it on the news, you got to pay attention to what they won't tell you, what they won't publicize, versus what they will. What they will is usually inconsequential. It's usually about someone's genitals, or he said, she said nonsense, or like some sort of thing that on the grand scheme of life shouldn't be top priority, in my opinion, most of the time. So, consume your media wisely and pay attention to these things. Like, really pay attention, because the truth is coming out slowly, but of course it's a huge uphill battle for these smaller outlets that are trying to get the truth out there to you. They are trying to tell you the truth. You just have to put in the time. You have to put in the time. And you really have to be aware of how much programming. There's a reason they call it television programming. There is a reason why it's called programming. And that's where we're at. If you keep telling somebody over and 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 over to believe something, eventually they'll believe it, especially if they're young. Be mindful of when you watch this crap around your children, if you've got them. Alright. I think that's it for me. Yeah. So continue to go to my website, timstavers.com. Keep an eye out. You can follow me on Instagram. By the way, my numbers are low on YouTube because I'm keeping them low by using their own system against them. Alright, so when you go on to timstavers.com, watch stuff there. I'm still working on certain things to make sure that stuff is able to be watched easily, and able to be watched like full screen, because I know, I think on my Android, if I hit full screen, it won't, when I tilt it won't go to widescreen. So I'm working on some of those things, making sure stuff is good, and stay happy, everybody. Stay positive. It's a crazy time. It's a crazy time. It's a crazy time in history, and stuff is just getting started. It's just getting started. And I think I can't help but be positive about the outcome. I think it's going to be difficult, but we're going to get through it. We're all going to be better for it. All right? So, thank you very much for listening. And, I should have a sign off. Bye! Before I go, check out, I'll leave you guys with this. This is a good song to listen to. It's by a band called The Front Bottoms, who are awesome, in my opinion. And they released a song called End of Summer, Now I Know. End of Summer, Now I Know by The Front Bottoms, which is, by the way, one of the greatest names for a band ever. So check that out. It may not be your thing, but I think you'll like it if it is. Okay, bye.